All right, perfect. So welcome everybody. First of all, congratulations to Nevena and the whole team for throwing another amazing Women's Weekend in front of us. The festival obviously keeps growing, so thanks to everyone who's joining us. A little background on what happened yesterday. These two amazing ladies flew halfway across the world to be joining us on stage. Their travel got lost, their flights got delayed, and now I would kindly ask you to show them some warm Croatian hospitality so we make sure there's 3 days.
Thanks, guys.
It's been a rough day, it's been a rough night, but Khalia Collier and Iris Diaz are here with us, so thank you so much for flying all the way. I mean, how does it feel to be in Croatia, first of all? I know it's traumatic, but we'll get there.
To wake up and see this amazing view made everything perfect. And our outfits are sponsored by Zara this morning.
There we go. Ladies went shopping in Zara.
We walked in and I was like, we could have just gotten dressed here. There's outfits outside. So this is all brand new this morning.
So the luggage got lost, so now you got to do shopping for tonight's party, for tomorrow's conference, for tomorrow's party. So there's going to be a lot of shopping in Croatia.
No, Damo, we're hoping our luggage makes it today.
All right, we're getting ready for all scenarios, but I hope you ladies are going to spend, 3-4 fantastic days here in Croatia, and thank you so much for joining us. So just a little bit of background on today's panel. Obviously, two of you are, incredible experts in your own niches, but a little bit more. Khalia Collier, Chief of Staff of Basketball Operations and owner of St. Louis Surge. An owner of a basketball team in America. That is truly incredible. So how does one become an owner at such a young age? And can you tell us a little bit more about your day-to-day and just give us a little bit more background on what it is you do?
Yeah, absolutely. And Damo, it's Khalia. So we got this. We're learning together. What's incredible is, this journey, you don't get there by yourself. And I think I took this crazy leap of faith to buy a basketball team at the age of 23, the St. Louis Surge. Had every role from start to finish, from marketing, sponsorship, operations, equipment, to concessions. And I think it led me exactly to where I am today. I've worked in sports my entire career, and so no day looks the same. Now, as my role as VP and Chief of Staff of Basketball Operations for the Dallas Mavericks, it consists of leading 7 departments, being our global liaison to the NBA as well as our business office liaison, and ensuring that everything runs seamless at all times. So even when you have adversity, you figure out ways to get through it.
And I've seen it firsthand, obviously playing against the Dallas Mavericks, and just the machinery that makes everything work. The business side of things, the player side of things. How involved are you basically on a day-to-day players in decisions like the team, or is it more on the business side?
So I oversee everything off court. So what my role does is ensures that our general manager and our president has the full capacity to build a championship caliber team. So everything that's team operations, logistics, from culinary to equipment to security, to ensure that the team and the culture of the team is just a place where the guys really feel like they're welcome. Fantastic.
Iris Diaz, brand and marketing director of FIFA World Cup. That is just tremendous to get those words out of my mouth. It's an incredible role, the biggest football competition in the world. We're going to talk a little bit more about how you got to where you got now, being one of the first Latinas, breaking the barriers. Obviously, both of you have tremendous inspirational stories. But tell us a little bit more about your day-to-day now with obviously the World Cup coming up next year.
God, every single day is different. I think the biggest thing, and I was mentioning to Damo the fact that it was like, one, my background has never been sports. My role before was working with the Dallas Mavericks, and that's where I met Khalia. Before that, it was all agency, all marketing. So any day, any marketer, and of course all you women here could probably understand that no day is the same day. And even now with FIFA, and of course getting ready not only for the World Cup in 26, but also the Club World Cup that's also being hosted in the U.S. Not every day is new. I was making negotiations on, negotiating things that we had to do not only from a marketing and media branding and all that, and I was on a flight here within the same time trying to call and get everything organized, and then I'm landing here and then working on trophy tour experiences, partnership activations, so every single day is something different, but you definitely have to be not only agile and understand that not every day is going to be the same, but also not every person that's going to actually, that you're talking to, that you're working with, is going to respond the way you want them to respond. So it's really not only building the relationships and networking with people, but really meeting everybody in the middle. So for me, every day to day is really, I think everyone, even when we're working at the Mavs, everyone thinks that we're just with the players all day long. I'm like, man, I wish that was the role, but everything is all the behind the scenes stuff that we're all working on, all the unsung heroes. My team, I'm obviously just one person, but I have a huge team back home in Miami, and really seeing how does everything work together, and really not only hiring the right people, training them, and, you know, getting them to understand why we have to move the way that we have to move. And I think that's one of the biggest things. I know we are putting on the World Cup, but for me is working with the best and building the best is really the goal.
Fantastic. So now that we heard a little bit about your day-to-day, let's take it back to the beginning. Obviously, it took some time for both of you to get to where you are now in a cutthroat, ruthless American corporate sports world, right? Which is basically...
Make it sound really intense.
Right? It is true.
It is.
It is true. So I think the crowd really wants to hear a little bit more about, you know, I would say breaking the stereotypes. You know, how it is to be a woman that ends up being so successful, a key decision maker in her role in huge organizations like yourself. So maybe, Khalia, you can start by kind of describing your path and the biggest obstacles you had to come across, I would say, to get to where you are today.
No, Damo, you're 100% correct. The truth is, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a level of just grit and resilience that you have to have, especially as women and women in leadership. It's easy to be underestimated. It's easy for people to assume that maybe you don't have all of the qualifications that's necessary to be in the role that you are in. And our job is to exceed those expectations. And I wear that with a proud chip on my shoulder. And I think watching as you continue to build teams and you play to strengths and you add in not just diverse perspectives, but incredible talent, you start to see, all right, we as women absolutely have a seat at the table. And not only do we deserve to be there, we've earned to be in those roles.
100%. Iris, what's your take on it?
I think the same thing. The one thing is the amount of time that you spend in these offices, you spend more time obviously with your colleagues than you do with your family. So how do you make sure that not only are you embracing that relationship, but also making sure that you're elevating other women as well?
Yes.
I actually... one of the things I bring it up on panels, but I don't really talk about it on a day-to-day. So after 14 months of being with the Dallas Mavericks, I became the first Latina CMO for an NBA team and NBA period. And I was probably the last one as I walked out after we lost against Boston. Fuck Boston. I hate Boston still because of that. But also at the end of it is just be real and be authentic. At the end of the day, for me, the reason why I ended up getting the chief marketing officer role is because my ass was leaving at 11 o'clock at night. I was there until 2, 3 in the morning. I was coming back from games. I was getting there at 7 in the morning again. We had a very small team, a very small, mighty team. But at the end of the day, for me, the way that I was raised is like, if you have to raise your hand for the people that are not getting it done. For me, it was, if you're in the room and someone's asking a question, if you don't know it, just raise your hand and just do it. That is the mentality that I'm also going in every single day, not only with the NBA, but also with FIFA. It's like a lot of things haven't been built the way that we have. I mean, we can't go look at Qatar and look at the blueprint for Qatar and think it's going to be the same thing for North America, especially when this is the biggest of its kind. So for me, it's like figure it out and just get it done. Build a rule and just follow it. So for me, it's not only elevating the space and really showing up and saying, if you raised your hand and said you're going to do it. But at the end of it, also bring up everybody else and really be supportive from that sense. That's the reason why not only were we able to work really well together to make sure that we're communicating and networking, but also making sure that from our lens, from different departments, we're making sure that it was working. And I think it makes a lot more sense not only to collaborate, but also from a business perspective. But for me, it was really more, how do you make sure that when you're in a position like this, to make sure that you leave that door open for more women to be able to aspire not only to the position that you're in, but also to be part of the team and be part of the sports. And as I mentioned before, I wasn't in sports before, but I knew my shit and I knew what to do and I knew how to get it done.
Fantastic. 2 things that you both touched on, culture and resilience. So I would love to hear a little bit more about it because obviously, you know, being a Latina coming up in the corporate American world, the stereotypes and everything you had to go through, it built a certain type of resilience. Does your sporting career, did it help with that? I mean, just building that kind of grit that you mentioned, how can you relate your, I would say, the sporting desire and the values that you learned through sports, and you translated them into the business world? I think that's where resilience really comes in play, right?
100%. I attribute a tremendous amount of my success I started playing basketball at the age of 5. I played basketball and golf in college. And what you learn is you fail fast, you fail forward, you learn how to work with people. And we all work in group projects from the early days of being in elementary school all the way through corporate. And so I think the level of resilience is just ingrained in you.
Yeah.
And
you got to outwork everybody, right?
Culture is all of us want to be a part of an environment to where we feel heard, we feel like we belong, we feel like our voices matter, our perspectives are shared in other rooms to where we can actually have our ideas. So I feel like a huge part of my role is to ensure that I'm creating the environment that not only I want to be a part of, but I want to be able to attract others of creating world-class talent.
Absolutely. And culture is defined by the way we do things, right? I mean, that's how you create a good atmosphere, and especially with the World Cup coming up, obviously so many different cultures, the level of cultural agility that you must have in order to kind of please, I would say, all these stakeholders, the sponsors, especially in your niche with the brand and marketing. I mean, is that something that you were just born with, or is that something that you can kind of learn along the way?
No, but I think I was going to add to Khalia's point too, is having some humility. Every single time that you're walking into a room and really making sure that you leave that ego at the door, no one needs any of that. Especially in how big of a massive event that we're working on in a tournament, but at the end of it, it is a culture. It is a movement, especially with it first of its kind, especially in North America, and setting the rule of what that is. And I think leaving your ego behind, especially making sure that you know that everyone's role is important. That's the reason why they're there. And I think that's something that was huge, not only eye-opening in so many of the companies that I've worked at, but understanding that not every company is the same. And like Khalia mentioned, is like you have to set the tone of it. So if you don't see it, just be it. And I know that sounds silly, but it really is that. And that's why we've been able to move the way we've been able to move. We've been able to build strong leadership teams. We've been able to work with really great partners because they see it not only within the culture that we built within the company and, of course, our organization and our teams, but also then it's also something other companies, other partners aspire to be. There was many times that when I was at the Mavs where I had partners come up and they said, hey, oh, we're very diverse. We have, we are in the community and things like that. And when you looked at their leadership and you looked at the community efforts that they did, I remember there was one story. They said, we're big on community. I was like, okay, what does that mean? They're like, well, we give discounts for churches, to print their brochure. I'm like, that's not it. Give it to them for free. But at the end of it, when you see the reality of what they mean by diversity or, inclusion or having women at the top, it's like I would say no to many of those partners because we want to partner up with the same people that actually believe in the same values that the company has, and the same trait that we're going into into now. So I think that's something that's really important. Not only coming into everything with humility, understanding that you're not the only one that knows everything, and really leaving that ego at the door, because at the end of it, that's the reason why you have a good team.
Iris is absolutely right? Like, no one wants anybody in the room that's the smartest at all times. We got to be able to play in the sandbox, and it's leaving the ego, but it's also remembering our confidence. I think that's one of the things that we downplay as women a tremendous amount is owning our confidence and owning that we've worked incredibly hard to be experts in our space. And if you're not an expert in your space, that you're doing everything in your power to ensure that you're researching, you're putting yourself in front of the right rooms, you're networking and expanding on exactly what you love and your passion.
Let's move on to the business and branding side of things, because both of you have tremendous experience with obviously sponsors, with the business side, everything you do in marketing. We have a vast amount of companies present here at Women's Weekend, and to some degree, all of them want to get involved in sports, right? And how important it is for brands to basically get involved in sports and to find that, female face, the female leader, the new female star. How does it raise the visibility of brands, I would say, connecting with the women's sports?
I think the biggest thing is it really then positions not only the companies and not only the partners to a higher standard because you're going in the right direction that we all want to, not only from a sports perspective, but also from a business perspective. It's not just to check the box and say, look, we have more women. It's really more, this is the role and the role that we've always had to play and that we will continue to play, not only on the turf, but also with the business side. For us, it really makes it more diverse from a marketing perspective, understanding who your audience is, understanding what value we bring to the table, not only as a company, but also together. I think that's something huge that people miss. And that's something I would say, and I bounce back because from working from all the companies that I have, but it's not the check the box movement. It's really more how big of a deal it's going to be when it impacts your audience, your fans, your consumers. And how do we make sure that every decision that we make is about them? Every decision that I make is for the fan. Everything is a fan first experience. How are the fans going to think? How are the fans going to consume this? Are they going to understand this? But at the end of it, the times have changed. The generations really want to care. It's like they're not spending those $300, $400 tickets anymore. They want to know why they should care about your brand and why they should show up to a game for 2 hours. Your time is more valuable than ever even now because there's so many people pulling you in so many directions. So for us, how do we make sure that we stand on that value and what the storyline that we bring? I mean, marketers, you guys know, you guys are storytellers. How do we make sure that we are relevant, not only to the audience that we've had for 40, 50 years for like season ticket holders or even our audience now with FIFA, but all this new younger generation that we have to get them to care. The fun fact, not so much fun fact, soccer is, football, is number 4 in the US, it's number 2 in Canada, and there was number 1 in Mexico, obvious. But at the end of it, how do I get the number 4 to get up to number 1, not to compete with the other sport, but really the audience to really embrace it? We have over 120 million people that don't give a shit about it. How do I get them to give a shit? So for me, it's like everything that Damjan just mentioned. How do I partner? How do I meet you? Who are you consuming? Who are you working with? What is it that you're liking, believing, and following, so that we can meet there? And then how do we embrace it and make sure that you then start caring about us?
Yes. Any thoughts on that, Khalia? I mean, how do you approach it from? I mean, obviously, football is one thing, but basketball in America is still, number 1 or number 2, probably number 2 behind American football. Yeah?
Number 2.
Number 2, yeah. I would say number 2.
We're not competing.
You're not competing. But how do you approach it? I mean, obviously, the WNBA has its own thing. We don't want to talk about the ratings too much because, are the ratings dropping? Like Iris said, there's so many things that people are consuming right now, right? So how do you approach it for example, from Dallas Mavericks standpoint?
I think it's twofold. One, in women's sports, though, the trajectory is only going up. You're watching women in leadership be able to reallocate dollars that were never centered for sponsorship. You're watching leadership shift in perspective because you're understanding that if you're not, you're going to be actually left behind. The trajectory that we're watching has truly been unprecedented because it's the first time of its kind. And that's what's incredible to see of what's happening in just women's sports. And then in the NBA, we talk a lot about viewership, but back to we have so much competition. And everything now is not cable TV. You're not tuning in to the TV and waiting until 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock to catch your favorite game. Most of us are consuming on our iPads. They're consuming on your phones. You're consuming on your laptops. And so we're catching a lot of highlights. Visibility is absolutely up. It's, are you tuning in to watch a full broadcasted game? And that's all centered around product. And I think not just the quality of talent, but it's the storytelling. People fall in love with people. You love the personalities. You love the excitement. You love the edge. You love the drama. Those are the things that you get with sports that I think is unlike anything else across industries.
100%. I mean, with everything that's being put out there on Netflix, and you can always kind of binge something or watch it later. But if you miss a game,
you're not going back to DVR the game.
You're not going to watch. No. Somebody's going to break you the results. Somebody's going to tell you what happened. So still, the sports remains one of the it needs to be watched live. So
and sports has a milestone to where if you've ever attended any major event, you remember your exact feeling.
Yes.
You remember who you were with. You remember the excitement that it brought to you. And I think those are the memories that we really try to say that those are the moments that you create. It's not just buying a ticket, but you're creating a lasting memory with your family, your friends, and your favorite players.
100%.
That was the rule. It was how do I make people forget who won or lost when you're going to a game? Because at the end of it, it's the emotion and the memory that you were able to build with your friends.
Yep.
Yes. So looking back at your, careers and everything that led you up to this point, how do you see the role of women in sports progressing in the next 10 years, I would say, as in leadership roles?
I'm so excited for us as women. We're continuing to shatter glass ceilings. We're continuing this upward mobility, and we're continuing to see the value in each other. I think that's the biggest thing, is ensuring that you're not supposed to be the only one. You're not supposed to be one of two. The goal is to be one of many. It's to shape and to cultivate teams that bring in the best and the brightest talent. And I think what we're going to see over the next 5 to 10 years is women continuing to find their confidence and their strength to say, nope, I know this is going to be challenging. I know the obstacles ahead. I know it's not supposed to be easy, but the only people that don't make it are the ones that quit.
Yeah.
Iris, what's your take on it?
No, the same. I was thinking about what you were saying. But it is. You can't be. I mean, being the first is not something that you should be proud of, especially when I was the first back in 2019. It's really more. It's not even about you anymore. It's about what you can do after that. And I think that was the focus, not only for myself but everything in the NBA. When I came on board, I asked, why don't we do any Spanish, commercials? I also looked to see what was the population of Latinos in Croatia, and it was, I think, nothing.
No Latinos in Croatia.
I think I'm the only one right now. But I was looking at it, I was like, why don't we do any Spanish commercials? And we're in Dallas, it's Texas, 40% of Latinos that are coming from Mexico. And they said no one's ever asked. So the fact that, one, if you are the first, be a representative of being the first. And really, it's a lot of pressure, but take on the pressure, because it's going to mean more so in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, but also really making sure that you have that door open for everybody else. And that is always our goal. My goal, not only here, hiring new people. I'm not looking at people that are working in sports before. If you know what to do and you know what you're doing, come do it over here. And that's really always make sure that you do that, because at the end of it, you're not going to be in that position all day long. And at the end of it, titles are just titles. Yep. The most important brand is your name. And I think I talk about that, especially in the youth generation now, because people are so focused on titles and thinking, oh, but she's a CMO or director or chief, whatever. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when you walk out the door, you're still your name, and that's the most people that actually respect, that have loyalty, that have better character. So for me, that's the most thing. That's the best, and the thing I focus on is the people, and making sure that those people are thriving in the space that you want them to thrive.
And just get the job done, right? I mean, at the end, it comes down to get the job done, do a proper thing over a long period of time, and good things are going to happen. I mean, basically, I think it can come down to that. Is there something that you feel like still needs to be done to ensure equal opportunities, like from your perspectives in sports world, or do you feel like it's an even playing field now? Is there like a moment that you feel like should?
It's definitely not an even playing field. If it was an even playing field, we wouldn't see less than 10% of women in Fortune 100 companies. If it was an even playing field, we wouldn't still be having these conversations, to be honest. And so I think what will be done, and this is the amazing thing about sports and about entertainment, is that it has the ability to bring all of us together. No matter your language, your ethnicity, you get to see people in spaces that when you're winning, you're high-fiving, you're cheering. It's in that power of collaboration, I think, is what is to come for people to see that transcends from a business revenue and data standpoint, that actually moves the needle of saying, wow, all right, in order for us to level the playing field, it looks like we need to collaborate more, and not with just people that look like us or share our ideas.
Same.
No,
I'm listening to her, but yeah, it is. That's the reason why we are traveling and why we're here. It's the same thing. The reason, I mean, we have to do the work, put in the time to make sure that doesn't go away, and that there is still representation, is the reason why we do everything that we do. There's days, I mean, I barely sleep like 4 hours sometimes. I have to wake up and do it all over again. I'm working on 2 different.
We're also working on our work-life balance, though.
Yeah.
Let's
work-life balance.
I'm doing Zurich time and then US time, and trying to mitigate and trying to figure everything out at the same time. But at the end of it, when I get home and I'm, going home at 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, eating my first meal, and I'm just like, it's worth it. All of it is worth it, because we know we're doing and putting that path forward for everybody else.
So let's talk a little bit more about work-life balance when you touched upon it. I mean, I want to hear from your perspectives. I mean, obviously your jobs are challenging. You have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. How do you find that work-life balance? I mean,
I got a quick question. Can I get a show of hands really quick of how many of us have work-life balance? Well, just what we thought. We're all trying to figure it out. And I think if we could package it, we would all be billionaires.
Yes.
I'm big into interval training. For me, I know when I can run really, really, really fast and I'm taking on a ton of projects. And then you know when you start to run out of gas a little bit. And so that means you got to walk, you got to jog. And then when you pause, it has to be something that really gives you the ability to recharge. It's a vacation, it's your friends, it's binging a show, it's maybe mental health and you're going into therapy. Whatever it takes, you can't just be on 24/7. It's not sustainable, it's not realistic, and it's not honest. We can't perpetually be in a space of on. And so I think as we think about that as women, we really have to be honest with ourselves of, all right, did I go as hard as I could today, and do I need to lay off the gas a little bit to give myself an area? I'm learning how to be productive and efficient in a way that means rest, and that's new to me.
Yeah.
Learning how to say no. No is a full sentence. Learning how to say no has been something that I've worked on the last couple of months, because not only am I executing and planning and putting in rules, but I'm also training and also interviewing and also building a team. So when I get more things like, hey, Iris can do it, I'm like, yeah, I can, but I only have two hands. But I think the one thing, and putting it in writing, honestly, that's the hardest thing for me to do, but I started doing that in the sense of, look, man, I would love to take this on and I would love to do this, but I cannot take more on. And I'm flattered that everyone is always leaning on me to try to get everything done. But at the end of it, no is a full sentence, and it's okay to say no. It doesn't mean that you did something wrong. And I think we are so trained to always say yes because we want to be on top of things. We want to be the solution. But the solution of saying no is a solution for yourself, for your personal time that you need. And more than likely, probably getting a beer right after this. That's what I need.
But it's also repositioning delegation. Like, you know, when someone brings something to you and it's like, actually, that's a really great idea for you. Have you thought about it? And before you know it, you just pass it right back to them. And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's like, no, thank you. And that gives you the ability to, instead of saying no, all you've done is you reposition, you pivot it. And it gives us the ability to collaborate, empower, and continue to delegate.
Fantastic. Last question from my side, then we're going to open it up to Q&A briefly because I'm sure there's going to be some questions from the audience. What advice would you give to young women aspiring to work in the sports industry or in business?
Don't stop. Seriously, don't give up. My goal, and I know Khalia knows, my goal was always, I'm like, I'm going to work for FIFA one day and I'm going to run a World Cup.
Really?
I did not stop. I still, everything, every single challenge that you threw at me, everything to me, I was like, I will get it done and I will make sure that it happens. And 20 years later, I am now leading the World Cup. So for me, it's like, it's a dream come true from a career perspective. But to me, I was like, I'm glad that either I failed and I failed fast and I moved on, but I was able to work not only keep a tight group together and know who your friends are and who your great colleagues are. But for me, it's like, don't stop. Trust me, it will come.
What Iris said is 100% true. The first day I met her, I knew what her dream job was, and she got it. And I think it's something about celebrating each other. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, if better is possible, good is not enough. Never be complacent, never be average. But I think the other component of us as women is playing to our strengths and having other badass friends. And what that means is that when we celebrate each other, when one gets a role, when one gets a higher raise or promotion or whatever that is, we're doing it together. No one wants to eat at the table alone. And I think building your team, that is the real power of strength. And I think it's a testament because you encourage and you inspire each other. And on your bad days, you pick each other up and it keeps you going.
Fantastic. Please, one applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, the time is up, but I would really love to see if there's any questions. Yes, we do. Do we have a floating mic? There we go.
First of all, thank you so much for coming in today, and I hope that your luggage comes in soon enough.
Thank you.
I just want to ask a quick question coming from a student I'm just finishing my third year now, and I know I'm into marketing. I know I'm into the whole woman supporting women thing. But I'm just kind of like worried along the way if I'm gonna meet other women who will kind of see me more as a competitor than as like someone like, I need your support as well. So did you have like a moment throughout your life or throughout your career that kind of like made you kind of snap into it and say like, you know, this is what I want to do. This is definitely what's for me, what's good for me, for my life, for my career path. Like, was there a moment, and like, how did you overcome it basically? Like, were there any challenges? Basically, I'm asking like, how do I know if this is for me and if I'm like too scared to like compete with other women in a way?
You know it's for you because you can't stop thinking about it. You know it's for you because you gravitate to it and you're excited. When you say play to your strengths, you play to the things that naturally get you excited, that naturally make you hungry, that you're passionate about. And those are the things that you go after in your career. The truth is it's easier to meet with men than it is women because we are busier. We multitask better. We're typically pulled in 10 different directions. So the guy that you hit up on the email, he's like, yeah, I got the time. With us, you maybe got to follow up 3-4 times, but it's not because it's a lack of regard to meet. It's because you're finding the right opportunity. And so one of the biggest things is I say it took me a long time for me to meet with the executive female leaders that I aspired to be. And I had to email them 2, 3, 4, 5 times, follow up, get to a networking event. And what it did was it was subtle persistence to stay on the radar. No one wants to be bugged. Don't call anyone every day, right? But when you follow up every 2 to 3 weeks, you say, hey, she's really persistent. I'm going to make the time. And it always works. That I promise you.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? Yes. One more here in the front row.
Thank you very much, ladies, to coming all the way from America to come and share your experiences with us. I came from Zagreb only to hear you because you are really a true models for all of us. I'm personally involved in sports management through the Tennis Association, where I'm holding a position of a board member volunteering. And I just simply want to comment the general, I would say, position of women in Croatian sports, in the management of sports. It is so rare. I mean, we are so far away from everything that you now show us can happen, because basically, if I compare it with the Tennis Federation, there is 17 people on the board and supervisory board. There is only one woman, and that's me. Last week there was a meeting of Football Association of 6 countries. There were 30 men at the table, not a single woman. So there is a long way to go, and of course, I mean, there are obstacles, but I really think that encourage ladies who are interested in sports and sports management. You can do it. Take the role models. It's a tough fight, I can tell you from my own experience, but you can make it.
I think that's even more valuable. I mean, and just adds to the fact that how important it is to have you guys here sharing your stories, and you know, hopefully things in Croatia are going to follow trends that are happening in the rest of the world. You know, little by little. I think now it's honestly just time for you guys to enjoy Croatia. I hope the luggage comes through. Thank you so much. Please, one more big round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And also, a big salute to A1 Spice Girls for throwing a hell of a party last night. You know who you are. Please, one applause. There we go. There we go. Party time tonight. Hopefully the luggage gets here. Thank you.